Hi everyone, I'm Daisy Victoria and I just made a corset in a day, or rather in an afternoon. Before we get started, if you are not subscribed already, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything else I post here. I had purchased this fabric specifically to make myself a new corset, and I decided today is the day that it will happen. I ended up with only an afternoon free, so I did make it in an afternoon. Once I have it put together, you can also see it in action because I wore it to the park and took some pictures, and I really like it. It's nearly noon when I'm getting started and I don't really have the actual entire day to do this. I am very fast at sewing. I am very slow at filming. So while I know I can make an underbust corset in an afternoon once I've already got the pattern ready to go, I am going to hope that I can actually film it in an afternoon as well. So to make it easier, I'm actually going to do a lot of time-lapse footage. This is in no way a tutorial, it's just a fun vlog that shows making a corset in an afternoon. So we're gonna do a lot of real fast sewing, so it's gonna look like I'm super speedy even though I'm going at a normal pace. And yeah, soon we'll have a corset. I have this fabric, which is beautiful. I hope it's picking up on camera just how amazing it is. It's got all this gold sparkle, there's birds, flowers, fans, it's just awesome. And I love the color scheme. I am using a black twill for the lining or the backing of my corset. This is what goes against the skin, but it doesn't really go against my skin because I always wear something between my skin and the corset. I'm also using a duck canvas for the inside in between those two layers. Now you can use a coutil for your corset as well. The duck canvas is just fine. By the way, the corset I am making, well, a fantasy corset and not purely a historical corset, is based on the Victorian era silhouettes. The silhouette is a little bit more modern in aesthetic. However, I think it's pretty obvious that that's the period of inspiration. And in fact, the corset pattern that I'm using was originally, back in the day, drafted off of an extant corset from the 1880s. So it did begin as a Victorian corset. However, the modifications have been so great that I really would not say it's a historical Victorian corset by any means now, but the inspiration and the basis is absolutely at its core. What I've just done here is made sure that the front seams of the corset are going to match up so that I have a nice pattern matching. So what I had to do was actually make sure that where I put the seam matches up so that when I sew it, you know, kind of like that, the pattern will appear uninterrupted. And I really wanted a bird to be front and center, so that's how I chose to place the pattern. At this point, it is about 1:30. I have finished cutting out my corset pieces, so I have 3 layers of each pattern piece and, you know, 2 mirror images of each of those. I also have cut out a modesty panel. I actually have some notifications going off because I need to go and tend to a few things, so I actually need to take a little break from this and come right back to it very soon. Alright, fast forward a little bit. I didn't film all of the seaming because I thought it might be a little boring because it's kind of a lot of the same thing over and over again. Even if I sped it up, I figured it would just kind of look like you're watching the same clip a bunch. So I did go ahead and finish putting on the rest of the panels. So we now have all 12 panels together, and in fact the edges are also folded in and finished. So I matched the pattern on these center panels very perfectly. I'm actually really proud of it. And I didn't worry about matching the pattern on the other panels, partially because I didn't have all that much fabric. I had just a little piece, and I'm not really that concerned because it kind of blends in like a floral print anyway. I just really wanted the front to look perfect. So that's done. I want to say it's done. This part of it is done, not the whole corset. So this is the point. Oh, let me check the time actually. It is just after 4 o'clock. So it's definitely possible to finish this today. I do need to stop before 7. So I have at maximum 3 more hours. However, that also includes when I eat dinner. So I may have about 2 hours. At this point in corset construction, it's typically where it feels like, oh my God, so much is done. Like, it's not bad. So it's kind of overwhelming to see all the pieces laid out, and then when you have it put together like this, and it's just kind of missing the boning, the edging, the grommets, the lacing, it looks like a corset, and there's not really that much left to do comparatively. You know, it's a few hours to seam it all together, and then it doesn't feel like as much doing the finishing. Alright, I had a little break to charge the camper batteries, and in that time I got out all of my boning. So basically these are all just a little bit shorter than the boning channel so that they have room to kind of sit in there. And funny story, I didn't have enough of one size, so I had to cut them and tip them myself. I almost never do that. Actually, I haven't done it in over 10 years probably. And I remembered why I don't do that, and I buy them in the pre-cut lengths because it's kind of a pain. But I did do that, so I'm able to complete it today, complete the corset today. Otherwise I would have had to wait for more boning. I did add that length to my list of boning I need to buy though. And now I just need to insert the boning and then do the upper bias binding and then put in the grommets. I'm deciding between gold and silver since both colors are in here, so I'm going to see which looks best. And then I have to lace it. And it is now about 6:15 in the evening. I have a finished corset. It's so pretty. So it's all made out of this brocade and it laces in the back only. So that's less than 6 hours and I've got a finished corset. I did go run and do a couple things here and there, but to be perfectly honest, even if I'm just sewing it straight through, I can't just sit there and sweatshop it out without a break. So I feel like that's kind of reasonable to assume it would take about 6 hours at least. So not too bad. And my corset in a day is done. And bonus, I even put on makeup and got dressed. Oh, I got cool shoes too. So I'm gonna go take some photos of this and that's gonna be super fun. So I'll insert some footage of that as well. I do feel the need to disclaim that this is not the first corset I made, nor the second or third or fourth or fifth. I've made many corsets. And the reason why I can do it so quickly is because my process is very streamlined. I am very happy with this corset. It's my new favorite corset, which kind of happens every time I make myself a corset. So I suppose this is my favorite till I make another one. I've got this cool hat to go along with my summer goth corset outfit. This was actually a pretty cheap hat that I found at Target. And if I can find one on Amazon, I'll link it for you because it's really cool, or you can see if your Target has one. But anyways, it actually started out as a floppy hat, but I wanted it to have a wired brim. So I very insanely hand-stitched a piece of wire all the way around the brim. Also, my head is very small, and this hat was not very small. So I put some foam on the inside and that makes it fit my small head. Additionally, I added these satin ribbon strings. That way, if it's ever really windy outside, I can just tie them around my chin and my hat will not blow away. Actually, with a couple modifications, I made a very cheap hat into exactly the hat I wanted. This is definitely my new favorite corset. and I made it in a day. So now I ask you friends, what can you make in a day? If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and a comment. That really helps me out here on the YouTubes. Additionally, if you'd like to support me in exchange for some extra goodies, you can find me on Patreon. I'm also on all the social medias. I am Daisy Victoria everywhere. I'm really easy to find. I also have a website, daisyvictoria.com, where you can find my portfolio, tutorials, sample sales, all kinds of good stuff. Now that I am ready for Gothic summer in my new favorite corset, I shall bid you adieu. Because apparently I'm French now? Since I'm actually Swedish, perhaps I should bid you hey då, and I'll see you again very soon.